Hey guys, welcome to my GR Yaris first drive video. It's going to be a one-take style video today because I've got this car and this daylight for about the next hour. This particular car belongs to my good friend Imran at Evolve Automotive, and in fact I'm here today with him and Matt filming a piece on this car versus Imran's GP3. So head over to their channel and check that out. They should be going live around the same sort of time. This is going to be a one-take video. I've literally got about an hour with the car. I'm going to jump in it and I'm going to take it down one of my favorite roads and let you know what I think about it. Right, let's jump in before it starts raining again and before we run out of light and enjoy this GR Yaris. We all know these start at about £30,000 here in the UK. Once you add the track back, I think it is, and all the rest of the options you really want, like this car has, you're looking at about 35 grand, which is a lot of money to pay for something with a Yaris badge on it. But what a piece of kit this is. It's essentially a car that was built to homologate their rally car that looks like it's never actually going to make it into production because of things like COVID-19, etc. So this is almost a car that happened by accident, and wow, what a piece of kit. What I am going to start with is the negatives though, because there are some negatives. Just in case you've forgotten, I'm 6'4" in height, so taller than your average person, and I tend to have space issues in all cars, no matter which size. So obviously in something this size you'd expect me to have difficulties, and that's one thing I had read was the driving position's a little bit high and awkward. So I was actually dreading sitting in here for the first time because I thought I would be right up against the roof and feeling really awkward, a bit like I do in a Focus RS in their bucket seats. But actually it's nowhere near as horrendous as I thought it was going to be. I'm still sitting 3 or 4 inches too high, and that does compromise things like being able to do heel and toe. Now I know Misha at Apex demonstrated the other day that he can do heel and toe in this car without too many issues, but as far as I'm concerned, the pedals aren't that well set up for heel and toe, especially with this driving position. I think if I was sitting a bit lower and my legs were out in front of me, it would be a lot easier, but I've almost got a bit of a busman's driving position, so heel and towing is difficult. But that's not too much of an issue because this has got an auto blip function down here. There's a button that turns it on and off. Wouldn't that be nice in a manual M2? An on and off button for the auto blip. Well, that never happened, and that is a pity. So that's my first slight negative, is driving position, but it's not horrendous. It could be better, and I think fitting some bucket seats in here that have got a lower fitment would solve pretty much all of that. The next negative is related to that, and I think this is the biggest negative that I've found to have all day driving this car, is visibility. Now, because I'm sitting quite high, my eye line is above the rear view mirror. The rear view mirror is bigger than the mirror that I have in my bathroom at home. It's absolutely massive. The ratio to mirror and car is ludicrous. I've never seen a rear view mirror that big in a car before, and it's ironic because the vision out the back's tiny. There's a tiny little window, so massive rear view mirror, tiny little window at the back. And the problem with that massive rear view mirror is that it gets in the way of my vision when I'm looking through corners or to the left, because I've got the infotainment screen that protrudes out of the dash and the mirror that almost comes down to meet it. At least it feels like it does. So that leaves me with a bit of a letterbox opening in terms of vision, like literally probably 14 inches. I mean 3 or 4 inches. So yeah, it's a little bit of an issue, and I have to say that's probably more of an issue than the driving position. But a lot of that has to do with the driving position, because again, if I was sitting 3 inches lower, I would have a slightly better view out the left-hand side of the cockpit. Wow, you were on my side of the road. Also the A-pillars, so when I'm looking to the right, the A-pillars are massive in this car. It's quite a sloping screen, so again I almost have the same problem when I'm looking to the right or through a corner on the right. It's quite hard to see anything. There's not a blind spot, but it's just a little bit difficult, so vision could be better, but when you're looking straight ahead, it's a lovely big windscreen and I can't complain about that. I can't really complain about the interior and the fit and finish. Yes, it's not as nice as other cars that are 35 grand, but everything is kind of where I want it. The infotainment screen does feel to me like it's tilting towards the left-hand side of the car, so left-hand drive markets, and they haven't adjusted that for right-hand drive. And the first hours in this car it really did bother me because you can see it, but after you've driven this thing for a while, you kind of forget about that pretty quickly. I think that is pretty much it in terms of negatives. We really need to get onto the positives. First major positive for me is the steering wheel. Look how thin it is. It's almost like someone at Toyota knows what they're doing when it comes to driving. I mean, it's just lovely. It's probably half the width of that M2 CS wheel I had recently. It's just so nice. It means you can just be delicate with it. You don't need to try and hold it because you're worried about losing it in your hands. You can just be very delicate and you get lots of feel through it. It's just lovely, really, really nice. There's too many buttons on it, but the actual wheel size and rim thickness is absolutely perfect. You know how important rim thickness or girth is for me. Let's talk about the running gear in this car. So we have a 1.6 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine up front. Produces about 260 horsepower. I think it's about 360 newton meters of torque. This car only weighs 1280 kilos, so it's not pushing around much weight. We have a all-wheel drive setup and it's adjustable as well, so I think in normal everyday sort of daily setup, default setup, it sends 60% of the power to the front axle and 40 to the back. When you put it in sport, which I'm in at the moment, we get 70% of the back and 30% to the front. And when you're in track, ironically, it's 50-50. We've got 2 limited slip diffs, one on the front axle and one on the back axle, which is just mega. I, in fact, can't remember another all-wheel drive car that had that setup. Maybe an Evo from a long time ago, but that's a serious setup. And that comes from this car obviously being made initially as a proper rally car. I mean, there's so much under the skin of this car that I'm not going to go into in this video because I don't know too much about it, but I can tell you it's extensively been gone over. Like, there's really nothing about the chassis setup or the running gear that it shares with a standard Yaris. Really, absolutely nothing, and you feel that immediately. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So this car's got the track pack on it, I think it's called, and that consists of these lovely 18-inch BBS magnesium wheels. Maybe, I know they're super lightweight. They're very, very nice wheels. They're super sexy, and they are clad with Michelin's Pilot Sport 4S tyres. Now the 4S, up until very recently, in fact this is the first car I know of, has always been 19 inches and above. So this is the first car that I know that wears 18-inch PS4Ss, and I believe Michelin are now going to start selling the brilliant PS4S in various 18-inch wheel sizes, which is great news for everyone because they are the best tyres. When you combine those tyres with this setup, this car along this road is just unbelievable. Normally I talk about this road, especially this time of year, and say that it's super fun because you can come down here at 50-60 miles an hour, not breaking any speed limits and having fun pushing the car to its limits. But in this, you get to 60, which is the speed limit, and you just feel like you can go so much faster. It's so capable, yet it's running, well, half the power that a lot of the cars that I tend to get my hands on do these days. It's just like, it just shows you, it's a real raw example of power isn't everything, really isn't. It's just, it's how the car uses that power and torque, what the setup of the car is, how it feels. It's just to die for, this thing. It's so much fun. It has a claimed 0 to 62 figure of 5.5 seconds, which is definitely quick enough for this sort of car. It's not built to do drag races and VMAXs. I can't see Imran taking this car out to VMAX anytime soon, because it's not designed for that. In fact, its top speed is just over 140 miles an hour, and I'm guessing that's probably rev limited, because when you're in 6th gear at 70 miles an hour on the motorway, you're doing around 3,000 RPM, and the red line is below 7, so it's not going to go much quicker than about 145 miles an hour. But it's not about top speed, it's not about acceleration. This car is about driver involvement and driver engagement, and it's just brilliant. It really does a fantastic job at that, especially on a typical British road like this, which is bumpy and slippery this time of year. I don't think there's anything that could actually take this car on down this road. And the fact that it's compact, it's lovely and compact. It's not as narrow as you think, and when you get behind the wheel you soon realise you've got quite a big pair of hips behind you, and that's all to do with the, you know, the balance, the wider track. That's what gives this car, helps give this car amazing, incredible handling. But dimension wise, when you're parking it, everything, it's just very practical in that sense. Manual 6-speed gearbox, what's it like? Well, I think it feels very good. It's not quite Cayman GT4, feels like you're loading a shotgun in that car. It's not quite that, but it's probably better than, say, the one in my M2 competition, which is a little bit rubbery. This one feels very mechanical. I can't complain. We'll just finish on this brilliant bit of road, and I'll just talk you through what I'm feeling. I mean, the front end is just to die for. Everything, the brakes, it's so good under brakes. This right-hander is super slick and usually induces understeer in everything, but the combination of the chassis setup in this car and the PS4S's just mean you can just nose it in and the car will make its way around the corner without any issues. It's just brilliant. The suspension, we haven't really talked about that, have we? I mean, it just does wonders. I swapped out of this and into a GP3 earlier on, and it was literally like jumping out of a limo and into a go-kart. Like, the difference in suspension quality is just next level, like night and day. And I think that's what really sets this car apart from pretty much any other hot hatch that's available on sale today. Literally running out of light. So this is going to be my conclusion of the GR Yaris and my first drive one take video. So apologies about how messy this video is probably going to come out, but I had to seize this opportunity. I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. The little 3-pot even makes a good sound. It's not very sonorous on the outside, but from here it's not bad at all. And I just, yeah, steering feel brilliant, chassis feel brilliant, brakes excellent, mid corner feel amazing, exit just lays down that 260 horsepower without any issues whatsoever. In fact, I'll demonstrate that through here. So we're coming through this right hander again, which is really slick, and foot on the floor, no problem. Come down here on those lovely anchors, second, foot on the floor. Oh, it's just so rewarding. It really is. Absolutely mega. Guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. Imran and Evolve, thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity. Please make sure you head over and check out the Evolve YouTube channel. It's one of the best out there. Imran and the boys just produce brilliant, solid content. They've got an amazing array of cars, including this and a GP3 and everything up to his 1000 horsepower F90 M5. And in fact, earlier on today, when it was a bit lighter, Imran and I shot a video comparing this with his mini GP3. So there'll be a link to that in the description below. Go over and watch that video. It's going to be pretty good. We've had some sexy camera work on that as well, because Matt, his amazing camera guy, was helping us produce that video. So check that out, proper quality. Thanks a lot for watching, and yeah, I'll see you at the next one.